Good day, everybody. This is Ying in California with Morsels of a Thought number 1410. We are in California on Miscellaneous Monday. Marcus Aurelius Meditations, translated by Gregory Hayes, Hays. We are in book 11 of his meditations, and I'm going to take off my glasses because I know I can't read through them this morning. The light is a little different than, well, it was a little quirky this morning. So, number 17, book 11. Source and substance. Hold on. Okay. Characteristics of the rational soul. Source and substance of each thing. What it changes into and what it's like transformed, that nothing can harm it. The rational soul. Excuse me. Number 18. Number 1 of 18. My relationship to them, that we came into the world for the sake of one another. Or from another point of view, I came into it to be their guardian, as the ram is of the flock and the bull of the herd. Start from this, if not atoms, then nature, directing everything. In that case, lower things for the sake of higher ones, and higher ones for one another. Part 2 of number 18. What they're like eating in bed. What? What they're like eating in bed, etc., how driven they are by their beliefs, how proud they are of what they do. Number 3, that if they're right to do this, then you have no right to complain. And if they aren't, then they do it involuntarily, out of ignorance, because all souls are prevented from treating others as they deserve, just as they are kept from truth unwillingly, which is why they resent being called unjust or arrogant or greedy, any suggestion that they aren't good neighbors. Number 4, part 4 of number 18 of book 11, that you've made enough mistakes yourself. You're just like them. Even if there are some you've avoided, you have the potential to make mistakes. Even if cowardice has kept you from them, or fear of what people would say, or some equally bad reason. Part 5 for number 18. That you don't know for sure it is a mistake. That you don't know for sure it is a mistake. A lot of things are means to some other end. You have to know an awful lot before you can judge other people's actions with real understanding. Part 6 of number 18 of book 11. When you lose your temper or even feel irritated, that human life is very short. Before long, all of us will be laid out side by side. I'm sorry about the imagery right now, because right now our world is in a chaotic mood. We've got a lot going on in the world, and we see images of these things, and we don't necessarily mean that. In this book, it could mean that we are laid side by side in an organized, peaceful fashion, not in war, chaotic fashion. Number 7, that it's not what they do that bothers us. That's a problem for their minds, not ours. It's our own misperceptions. Discard them. Be willing to give up thinking of this as a catastrophe, and your anger is gone. How do you do that? By recognizing that you've suffered no disgrace. Unless disgrace is the only thing that can hurt you, you're doomed to commit innumerable offenses, to become a thief, or heaven only knows what else. There was one time I was visiting somebody, and their relative was there as well. and their relative had their underpants showing through underneath their shorts. Not above their shorts at the waistband, but underneath, like through the pant leg. And I was really indignant, and I was talking about it to my Aunt Mary. My Aunt Mary, I have an aunt named Mary, said to me, 丢脸的是他，不是你. The one who was embarrassed was him, not you. The one who should have been embarrassed was he, not you. So you have to think of it that way. Part 8. How much more damage anger and grief do than the things that cause them? Yeah. Part 9 in number 18. That kindness is invincible. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. That kindness is invincible, provided it's sincere, not ironic or an act. What can even the most vicious person do if you keep treating him with kindness and gently set him straight if you get the chance, correcting him cheerfully at the exact moment that he's trying to do you harm? No, no, my friend, that isn't what we're here for. It isn't me who's harmed by that, it's you. And show him gently and without pointing fingers that it's so. That bees don't behave like this or any other animals with a sense of community. Don't do it, and sardonically or meanly, but affectionately, with no hatred in your heart, and not ex cathedra or to impress third parties, but speaking directly, even if there are other people around. Keep these points in mind, like gifts from the 9 muses, and start becoming a human being. That brings to mind 2 things. One is something here. A person was a true story occurred in a book that was written. It was written in a book by Gavin de Becker, and it was a true story of a woman who was sitting in a car and she saw the mirror reflecting somebody running toward her car too quickly for her comfort. She tried to lock the doors, but she couldn't. It was a guy kidnapping her. And in the end, he drives her to a field, and in the meantime, she knows intuitively. She just knows intuitively she needs to become his best friend in the hours that it takes to get him for him to drive wherever they're going, or 45 minutes, or whatever it was. She becomes his friend. She talks, she laughs, she giggles, she talks about things. The first thing he tried to do when he got there was to try to break her neck, and she had to fight with him. But in the end, he couldn't kill her because she had become his friend. He now knew her as a human being. Anyway, keep these 9 points in mind, like gifts from the 9 muses, and start becoming a human being. Good morning. I know that you're showing up as Facebook user at the moment. That is a StreamYard problem that I've been warned about, and it's either John Clark or this was Cantara or Cece Rosita or Mark Lettieri or everybody in the morning. Good morning. Or good day if you're in Australia, or Europa. Anyway, keep these points in mind. Start becoming a human being now and for the rest of your life. And along with not getting angry at others, try not to pander either. Both are forms of selfishness. Both of them will do you harm. When you start to lose your temper, remember, there's nothing manly about rage. It's courtesy and kindness that define a human being and a man. Happy. That's who possesses strength and nerves and guts, not the angry whiners. Excuse me. I said it like my mother did. Excuse me. To react like that brings you closer to impassivity. and so to strength. See, I get to make the fun because I get to make fun because I'm part of the group. But if you're not part of the group, be careful. Like one time there was this thanks. One time there was this um party we had. It was called the Kermesse. I don't know what that word means. I should look it up now that I have Google. It was in 1980 something, and the Kermesse was a festival we had of everybody dressing in their cultural garb. Well, there was this pair of girls who were of Filipino descent who came along with scarves on their heads and plastic bags with groceries on their arms, and they walked out, and everybody laughed because at that time it was the stereotypical look of an East Asian, and it was written about in the newspaper as a controversial topic. Now, these girls parodied something that could be considered an insult, and da 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 da. And it said, could it be that it's not considered an insult because they themselves are Asian? And it's interesting how that happens, but you have to be very careful. It depends on the crowd you're in. Pain. Oh goodness. It's courtesy and kindness that define a human being and a man. That's who possesses strength and nerves and guts, not the angry whiners. To react like that brings you closer to impassivity and so to strength. To react like with courtesy and kindness. Pain is the opposite of strength, and so is anger. Both are things we suffer from and yield to. And one more thought from Apollo. Part 10, that to expect bad people not to injure others is crazy. It's to ask the impossible, and to let them behave like that to other people, but expect them to exempt you is arrogant, the act of a tyrant. I can be a tyrant. Anybody can be a tyrant. That's not the measure of a man. 19. 19. 4 habits of thought to watch for and erase from your mind. When you catch them, tell yourself, bullet point, this thought is unnecessary. Bullet point, this one is destructive to the people around you. Bullet point, this wouldn't be what you really think to say what you don't think, the definition of absurdity. Ooh. Except if you're a tyrant. Anyway. And the 4th reason for self-reproach, that the more divine part of you has been beaten and subdued by the degraded mortal part, the body, and its stupid self-indulgence. Ooh. Number 20 of book 11. Your spirit and the fire contained within you are drawn by their nature upward, but they comply with the world's designs and submit to being mingled here below. And the elements of earth and water in you are drawn by their nature downward, but are forced to rise and take up a position not their own. So even the elements obey the world when ordered and compelled, and man their stations until the signal to abandon them arrives. So, why should your intellect be the only dissenter? The dissenter, dissenter, to dissent. The only one complaining about its posting. It's not as if anything is being forced on it, only what its own nature requires, and yet it refuses to comply and sets off in the opposite direction, because to be drawn toward what is wrong and self-indulgent, toward anger and fear and pain, is to revolt against nature. And for the mind to complain about anything that happens is to desert its post. It was created to show reverence, respect for the divine, no less than to act justly. That too is an element of coexistence and a prerequisite for justice. Prerequisite for justice. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here because my voice is obviously giving way to chaotic things. And there will be smaller sections later on of book 11, and then we will come to the end of book 11, which is actually kind of comical in some ways, if I could only get a hold of myself. Okay, so we'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully StreamYard will get it back together then. Okay, old Kinderheck. Bye bye.